Oh, okay.
It's on now.
All right.
Well, see, my snort wasn't there.
Can you please re-snort for the record?
Only at a price.
So roll call says that we're all here except Joe. He's excused. Our notice to public: any member of the public wishing to address the governing board on a topic within the subject matter jurisdiction of the district but not on the agenda may do so at this time. May do so during the public comment period identified on this agenda. By law, subjects on the agenda cannot be acted upon by the board except to briefly respond, clarify, or refer to staff for review and presentation at a future meeting. The board president will recognize you for public comment on matters on the agenda at the appropriate time. So do we have any correspondence?
No.
And nothing on our consent agenda. Public comment? There's nobody in our audience. We have no guests. So we will go on to director's report.
Okay, first thing is the budget report. I'm going to talk more about this year's budget at the end of the session, but this is just to introduce the 13-14 budget, which closed on the 15th of July. It left us with $125,000 surplus.
Nice.
And there's a second document which gives the things that happened in July. But as you can see, it's barely minimal because we really didn't have that much revenue and we didn't spend much of anything in July. So
From what you've seen, is $125,000 surplus typical?
from the, let's see, it's the 0740 fund is where all the excess funds go from the past. The $125,000 surplus brings that up to $400,000 now.
So we have a cash balance of 400,000.
Yes.
So it would be reasonable to say that that might be a high ending surplus?
I think so, yeah. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, but the money that's in that surplus fund, it can be used if we decide to budget it. I'm going to ask the board to approve an amount to budget for this year a little later.
But things like is it October that you were looking at going to the conference?
Oh, to Guadalajara?
Yeah.
That's at the end of November
Okay.
and December. Yeah, we'll talk about that under D in the
Okay.
continuing education.
I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
That's okay.
Somebody's got to play that role tonight.
That's right.
It's okay. It's so exciting, you just can't help yourself. Oh, let's move on to the next one. Okay, the roofing report, I sent everybody copies of this via email, but these are pictures of the before and after of the roof. A second drain was required. They're supposed to install that this Saturday for the cost of $750, which will be well worth it because the people that have looked at it are afraid that if the solitary drain remains, that it could become clogged and potentially lead to the roof collapsing at some point in the future if we don't have a second drain. So they'll be working on that this weekend, supposedly. Any questions about the roofing project?
Nope.
Okay.
Oh, it's awesome, by the way.
Next thing's the summer reading club, and Adrian Gass, our children's librarian, put together a nice report for everyone. It goes into great detail about pretty much anything you could think of that has to do with the summer reading club. I am just going to go over a few of the highlights as far as the statistics go, but she put this together and it has lots of detail about everything. But the early literacy program had 93 children register for it. We had 416 kids do the children's program, 57 teens. We had 952 total attendees at the programs, which included 350 at the final party, and the two biggest program attendances were 96 for the Catapult building and 95 for the UC Davis person who came and brought all the insects for the kids to look at.
This is great. Wow.
The next thing is the continuing education. The biggest thing in that is we did receive funding from the American Library Association for Catherine to attend the Guadalajara Book Fair. That covers the hotel cost, the cost of the conference, and $100 towards the airfare. It goes from November 29th through December 2nd. And we haven't bought tickets yet. The last time I looked, it would be around $525 for the cost of the airfare round trip minus the $100 that the American Library Association has agreed to pay for.
Okay.
And the one vendor that we use right now for Spanish language books will be in attendance, and he's offered either help her ship back any purchases she makes down there or to bring them back, because he travels from Mexico City all the time up here. So he'll be there to help her out with some of the business details, that kind of stuff, because she doesn't speak Spanish, but at least she has a Spanish-speaking contact there that she can kind of confer with.
Okay.
The other item for the staff development or continuing education section is that as part of the grant that we received, it was more than a year ago now, to help improve technology in the library. We did a survey to find out what areas the staff are deficient and proficient in, and we're going to set up some kind of training day or series of training days for the staff to be trained in Excel, Word, Outlook, Publisher, how to use our website and the different databases that the library has, and try to bring everybody on staff up to speed. Because we kind of found that some of the clerks and pages don't really have the technical skills. Say if the reference librarian's busy, they don't really have enough knowledge to help people on the computer. So we're trying to get everybody up to the same level.
All right.
Next thing is that I'm going to talk a little bit about the Carnegie Building windows as the very last thing. But when the people came out to give us an estimate what it would cost to replace the windows in the Carnegie, they found that there were termites in two of the window frames. So I had to contact Terminex for $4,700. They've put stakes around the entire building to control the termites, and they'll follow up with that for the next 3 years too.
Now, is
Did
that
we have
something
go ahead.
you go ahead.
We had a termite inspection and there wasn't a lot, or there is none that we know of?
No, there were some found inside the building, and the guy explained it to me in that there were two major kinds of termites. There's ones that live inside the wood and really eat out everything and destroy stuff. That's the worst kind. The kind that we have actually live in the ground, and they can, certain ones of the termites fly. They'll fly up, take pieces of wood back to the nest. That's the kind that we have. They're both destructive, but the one is far more destructive. These just cart off little bits of wood at a time. But this process is supposed to control those.
Okay.
So now, it being a national landmark or a city landmark now, we have to pay for that, right?
A historic building.
Historic building, yeah.
Yeah. On 11G, I'll talk a little bit more about the windows being replaced, but
Okay.
yeah, we had to go out and we had two different people do bids on the project. The one guy turned out to be really unreliable and never actually provided us a bid, even though he came out and looked at the project. But despite 4 or 5 times contacting him promising to send me something, he never did. So
Yeah, it's a
we're gonna
bad
have to
sign.
go with these other people. But there are only certain people that can work on the historic structures,
Yeah.
so they end up costing more than just the average person.
Because they
have-
can.
Yeah, because they can, because
Yeah.
that requires a certain background to do that kind of work.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
that's pretty much that. Then we're on to the ongoing business section, which, first thing is the policy and procedures, which is, without Joe being here, I don't know how much people have really looked at these and would like to have input on the different policies here.
Do we
Table
want to
that.
table it?
Yeah, we could table that
I
till
think it
Joe's
probably
here.
is a good idea.
Do you want to table it? Okay.
I'll motion to table this item.
Okay.
I'll second.
It wasn't really an action item, but, I mean, I don't think we need to vote on it. It's an ongoing
Oh, it's
thing.
information and discussion.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
so
we
we
can
don't
just
have to
table
table it. Okay, that's
So
fine.
we're aware that it's there and
Okay.
we can keep it on the ongoing business.
Perfect.
After we finish going over this last section, then we'll go back and approve the entire
Okay.
set of revisions. So I guess in 2 months at this point then.
Okay.
Next thing is the approval of the minutes from the July 10th meeting.
Do we have a motion?
I wasn't there,
wasn't
so.
here.
Crap.
I'll move to approve the meetings, the minutes for the meeting.
Okay, so can we legally vote on something that
Oh, we can't. because
we don't have a
three.
quorum that was here?
Oh, that I don't know.
Yeah.
Why don't we just take?
I hate to table something so simple like that,
Oh,
but
so do I.
we don't have a quorum that was here because
I'd rather be right than wrong.
Yeah.
Just to wait is gonna hurt us.
Yeah, we might want to table that one.
Okay. All right.
Sorry,
That's
that's
okay.
embarrassing. Sorry, people.
Yeah, that's right. Public outrage.
Right.
10C, basically the only update to that is that Catlin and I have a meeting on the 22nd in Vacaville with Bonnie Katz, who's the head of the director of Solano County Library, and her attorney to kind of go over what they think and what they know, and we can share information and have a discussion with them about the problem.
All right.
So
New business.
Next is new business. The cost of living adjustment increases. There have been none at the library since 2011. If we do this year's, it would be 1.5% is the recommended COLA from the government, and that would come to close to $9,000 to cover the entire staff, getting a 1.5% raise. The last time this was discussed was June 26, 2013, and the minutes from that board meeting say the board should consider to reinstate COLA in 2014/15. So I'm asking the board if they're willing to go for COLA increases for the staff for this year. And we did budget for it, so there seems to be enough money to cover
You said
it.
you did budget for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the upcoming year, for 2015, or for the current 2014?
2014-15, this year.
Not retroactive.
No,
Beginning.
not retroactive.
So what is the financial impact of the COLA?
$9,000.
9,000.
About $9,000, within
All-
$100 or so, to cover the
We
entire
have
staff.
currently an what's the word for it?
Surplus.
Well, a surplus of $400,000 and unencumbered, that's the word I was thinking of. Unencumbered $400,000 cash balance.
We do. I'm only asking the board to approve for,
9,000 ongoing, correct?
yes, for the COLA, but the total is going to be around 125,000. But we'll get to that a little later.
Increase.
Yes.
Well, for the budget year on year.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah, for
part
the
of
budget.
it,
For everything.
the part of it that's COLA,
Is
It's
9,000.
9,000.
right? So shall we wait and vote on the budget plus the COLA all at once?
I don't
That's-
necessarily think we have to do it all at once. I mean, I think we do it piece by piece.
As far as I'm concerned, the COLA is
Coal's a coal. I mean, if
for
we have the
$9,000
funds-
ongoing and we got 400,000 in the bank. I would say that's appropriate,
Yeah, okay. So we,
So
you wanna
I'll
make a
move.
motion?
I'll
Okay.
move to approve.
and I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well.
Okay. Well, the next item is sort of the same kind of thing. I did research into what libraries offer additional pay for bilingual employees. And all of the libraries I contacted did. There should be a list
really
of them, 2 pages on. First I've got the changes to the policy and procedure handbook, which would allow for the Spanish bilingual pay, which the attorney went over. And then the next thing is just a list of all the libraries I contacted and what they offer their bilingual employees. Certainly at some other places, the language might not be Spanish, but that's the language that we need here.
So that would be, the policy would be written expressly to account for Spanish speakers.
Yes, this policy is. And I had the attorney write it so that no one on the staff has to take a proficiency test. I didn't really want to embarrass the people that we already have employed, and I know that they're fluent in Spanish. 3 of them grew up bilingual, 2 born in Mexico, and the 4th, Doreen, has a master's in Spanish and teaches Spanish. So,
She was actually my Spanish teacher in high school.
well, there you go.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to have her have to take a test to prove that she can speak Spanish. I just thought that would be kind of embarrassing. But I had 21 different libraries respond. They all said that they do provide it to a certain extent. Some do it by a lump sum, but the 4 employees that would be affected are all part-timers, so they would be more of a percentage than a lump sum. And the libraries that I looked at all offered 5%, so that's what I'm proposing. That 5% increase would amount to $1,863 per year for the 4 employees.
And it's not gonna be retroactive
No.
for guys previous.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Is that, I'm sorry, is that something that in the future we could use as a hiring
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a bonus.
incentive, but so that it does not factor into their salary when they're hired as much as it would be, okay, here's the salary for the position, and then you are bilingual, and so then therefore you earn this above and beyond.
You can almost have 2 sets of qualifications, one for regular and one for bilingual, and you can offer bilingual pay more. It's the way a lot of jobs do it.
And again, this was looked over by Scott.
Yes,
That's
Scott
impressive.
prepared it,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay.
I mean, it's the same thing as like having a master's degree or some other
Exactly.
step and column.
Step and
type of
column
thing.
issue.
Yeah, I think all of the job descriptions do say Spanish language desirable.
Yeah, and in our community, it's like almost 50% Hispanic. So
Yeah, 43 is the number I came up with.
I heard it was 44.
Okay, so pretty darn
Yeah.
close. Yeah.
Yep.
And 3 people have expressed interest in doing a Spanish language story time.
Nice.
And this was one of the ways that I wanted to kind of reward them for taking on something
awesome.
extra. That we're going to try and offer at the library and hopefully out at the Migrant Learning Center as well.
Great.
That's fantastic.
Perfect.
We're going to have the children's librarian train them as far as doing story times, and then hopefully we'll get that going by November or so. But we think it'll take a little while to get them up to speed working with the kids, and
Super.
then we'll hopefully be able to
For a
offer that.
part-time employee who's on the clock and driving from here to the migrant worker camp, we reimburse and
Yeah,
help them.
yeah, they just have to fill out the paperwork and
Okay.
submit it to Solano, but they'll get reimbursed for that.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion? All in favor?
Ah,
Aye.
super.
All right.
Let's see, the next thing.
Really good.
It's step increases for the accountant / payroll technician.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't any exact position in Solano with the same job description that she was hired at. And this just codifies the step increases. She was hired at $17.50. Every other employee gets 5% step increase every 6 months. But this was not part of this is nothing that's actually been approved yet. So for her to get the step increases, I came up with this table based on 5% every 6 months. So basically she would get a raise like everyone else. She just passed her 6-month probation period, so she's deserving of this. I
And
think.
this is something equivalent to other areas as far as the job pay and.
Yeah, she started at $17.50. That was set. It was set by the board at the January 16th, 2014 meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have a motion
I'll move.
and a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next one is something that actually the accountant said that we really should have as far as a policy. It's a fixed asset policy regarding computers. I went through and looked at probably half a dozen cities and universities that have a similar policy. basically it just has to do with depreciation.
And capitalization, yeah.
And capitalization. Because the current policy's really vague. It doesn't really break out computers as a separate
So
category.
where is this policy? Is it in our handbook? I mean, in our policy?
Yeah, this is in, I think, the 4,000 section.
Because you didn't reference this on this on this.
Actually, yeah, district board policy 5,045. I guess I should have made a copy of the original, but
Oh, you
the
didn't.
original just lists different things that can be capitalized and just has computers as part of that, but it doesn't actually break it down.
Basically, you're saying that anything above 5,000, you're going to capitalize. Anything below 5,000, we're going to expense, correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
And this will be changing what policy number?
5,045.
Okay. And has Scott seen this, or is this just a cut and paste from other people's?
I did a cut and paste and I ran it by Scott. He said that it was okay.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Okay.
The next one is, it's another thing that Joe is interested in. I don't know if we want to table it till the next time or not.
So we're talking about 3260.3.3.3.
Yeah, there was, what happened with this one was that it was approved by the Library Commission back in March 19th, 2012. And there was a section that says, written reprimand shall be retained in the employee's personnel file for 1 year. And after talking with Joe and talking with Scott, the way that, the way that this was rewritten,
It's just straightforward, isn't it? The way in our current policies.
well, it says written reprimands shall be retained in the employee's personnel file for 1 year with the implication that they can be destroyed after that. After talking with Scott, he said that all employee personnel files must be retained, period, due to the Public Records Act. Joe wanted it set up so it says something to the effect that written reprimands shall be retained, but they can't be used against the employee.
Well,
after a
basically,
year.
it's the whole 3260.3.3.3 that's noted in the motion, which is written reprimand shall note period of retention and shall not be retained in an employee's home file not to exceed 1 year.
Why don't we
It's
have,
essentially saying that at the end of 1 year, that written reprimand, at least written in this minutes,
Yeah, that's how it was approved. According to
And then
Scott, that's not,
that was how it was approved, but it never made it to our current policies? Is that
yeah, it
what
never
you-
made it to the current
It
policy.
never made it to the
book.
second page, correct?
Yeah.
these are
Yeah,
our current policies.
There was only one item.
No,
that
that's
was,
just
not in here.
Not in there at all,
sorry.
This is our current policies.
It's not the whole one.
And it's,
but it's not,
It's not the
in
whole
here.
one, I don't think.
Yeah, it's in the current policies. Sorry,
we
this
have
one. was-
3260.3.3,
.3.
but there is no third three.
Yeah, the current policy reads, it's
this is on-
3260.3.2.3. Copies of any written warnings and or reprimand shall be retained in the employee's personnel file. So, Joe and Scott both thought that it should be redone slightly to say that we can keep things in there, but if they're older than a year, they shouldn't be used against the person. But I don't know exactly how to word
Oh,
that
so
properly.
it was never written into it? Wait a minute. Oh, no,
It was approved, but it never made its way actually into this. There was a whole series of revisions that the commission had proposed, but only one was voted on.
So this was to be extended and in, but it was in our minutes and it never made it in there?
it was in the commission's
It
minutes.
never made it to the handbook, correct?
Right.
Why is it, oh, somebody took this and just edited it and put it in as if it was in there, the second page? This is your This is the minutes,
Yeah.
and this looks like part of the handbook. Or is this
Yeah.
part of the minutes?
Well, these were proposals, I think, from that commission.
Oh, in
that
other
were
words, this
never-
was part of the minutes?
Yeah, and that was the only section that was voted on that night. I went back and reviewed the DVD.
3260.3.3, okay.
And everything else was tabled to a future date, and then Vanessa ended up leaving, and so no action ever happened beyond that.
Well, I would say we need to table this, because I'm sure Joe will have some comment to it.
Yeah, Joe has much more background in this.
And we would want to get it right to the minutes if it had been approved, and it sounds like it was.
It was, yeah.
And so what that sounds like is it never made it to this
Yes, it never
document.
made it to this
That's
section.
not good.
And
And
since we're
then, and
tabling
then that
that-
kind of makes it, Scott's comment relevant just for our knowledge. But this is, if it's been approved, this is gospel, and this isn't until we fix it.
Right.
But it was approved by the commission though, not by the board.
Oh, I see.
So
It was
it's,
So
approved
it's
by
never
the
brought
commission.
forward
right, it was
from
never
the
brought
commission
forward
to
from
the
the
board.
commission. Yeah.
But then it conflicts with the Public Records Act, evidently.
Is that what Scott was saying?
Yeah.
Right, so the commission suggestion conflicts with the Public Records Act.
And this was the commission's
Commission
suggestion?
suggestion,
Yeah.
yes.
So it's nothing more than a suggestion, so now what we need to do is do whatever we want to do and make it.
Yes,
Right,
exactly.
Yeah, we can certainly
With the
include that
intent
as.
of what the commission was
Wow.
attempting to do, but that
And my two
may
cents
or may
is,
not be
my,
germane.
my 2 cents is don't ever bring up the word commission to Joe.
Right.
I'll have another heart attack.
right.
Well, and I don't,
So-
we just wanna do what's right, that's, I mean, I kinda understand, I mean, we could get in a long conversation about this, I'm
Sure we will.
Not tonight.
sure. Not tonight, okay. Well, shall we table this one then?
Let's table
I think
it.
that
I think it's appropriate, Joe will want
I'm
to.
sorry
have
if
a
that was
comment.
confusing. but-
No, that's,
No, it's
we
good
got to the bottom of it.
Yep.
Yep.
So I'll move to table item 11,
F,
E.
E, I'm sorry, E, yeah.
11E.
Okay, and I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, the next thing is the 2014-15 budget. And I've got a few documents in here regarding that. One is the contracted services summary that's like what the biggest budget item, I think, is the contracted services. This year, we will be cutting out Galicia, and that's the people that served as
Yeah.
consultants for our IT project.
Catch up
That's almost over. We're in the midst of signing a contract with the new people, which is ProGen.
here.
We're also saving almost $32,000 by cutting out Lowell Switzer as the IT person.
What's the difference in cost from going from Galicia to the new one?
Well, the new one, it's hard to know because I'm guessing 40,000 this year, but it should be much less in future years.
Okay.
Is that Progen?
Yeah, that's ProGen. Because the contract is not set up as a dollar amount, as a lump, it's by consultants' amount of time, and most of them bill at $125 to $135 an hour. So it kind of depends how much we use them as far as to how much the billing will be.
Right.
And right now, we're switching over to high-speed internet and totally redoing the computer system.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, the high-speed internet was supposed to happen, actually it was supposed to happen back in July 1st, and it was supposed to happen this week, but hasn't happened yet, but it should happen really soon. And once that goes through, then the guy from ProGen can install all the new equipment. He's able to do some of it at this point, but not everything. Because lots of the stuff that Switzer was using was 10 to 15 years out of date. We were running out of storage space on all the computers, and there wasn't any way for the older equipment to deal with the higher speed internet. So this year will be much more expensive than future years, because once we get everything in,
Yeah.
it'll work.
Yeah, the upfront cost is always a little bit more expensive than the ongoing cost.
Yeah, and part of it too is the filtering system. We will have a separate filtering system for adults and children. The children's will be much stricter, where they can't get into much of anything that's not educational or meant for kids. And to do that, the IT guy has to set up a different signals for the Wi-Fi for it to work properly. So that's going to be kind of expensive to do that too, but I think it's well worthwhile. So
But at the end of the day, the contracted services, we're projecting to go down by $7,000.
yeah, it'll be cheaper, and ProGen in the long run will be cheaper, but this year I'm not sure what exactly it's going to cost. It's actually the guy working on our computers has been coming in the evenings after the library closes and working, so. And he's a rare IT guy that actually is willing to talk to people and explain things, so everyone
Really?
understands what he's talking about.
So it isn't like living in his mom's basement. Just kidding.
Well, I think you know I'm talking about that they're not always the most-
Extroverts, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the IT guys are introverts, yeah.
Yeah, they either grunt or they just talk in
Uh huh.
gibberish.
Easy, I'm an IT guy. I'm not an introvert.
Yeah, you're an exception to the rule.
Okay.
Okay, so basically I'm asking the board to approve shifting $125,000 of the nearly $400,000 of surplus to cover increased cost of personnel, upgrades to the computer and the addition of the high-speed internet, the new windows for the Carnegie, new furniture, 4 new computers for the children's department, and new furniture for the children's department.
Okay, so can you say all the different increases that you're talking about again? Now,
Yeah.
because I want to go back to the personnel one. Let's go
Okay.
through the ones you're talking about.
Well,
That's been-
the green sheet here.
I'm looking right at it.
Okay. In the middle, under appropriations, pretty much lists the major things that I mentioned.
Right, but there's I want to talk because the ones that this me, the ones you're talking about that I would be concerned with out of our cash balance is ongoing ones.
Right.
But the ones that we're talking about, that you were talking about, like furniture and things like that, it's a pretty simple one for me.
Yeah.
Out of that cash balance. So can you just go through those lists again? So I know one major because it's 82 some odd thousand, correct? On salary, is that right?
Yes.
It's 82,233 increase, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the main reason for that is, well, we have several employees that are full-time that weren't here last year. My position,
Okay.
Gina, the accountant slash payroll person.
Super.
And Adrian will be here full-time too.
Okay.
Is that you think the primary reason for the $125,000 surplus is salaries that we were not paying?
That's part of it, yeah. The more income, but yeah, savings from the salaries from people not being there. And then a certain amount of savings from cutting out Switzer too, that
Okay.
kind of thing.
And what were the other items?
Oh, other items, let's see. If you go to page 2, the one that has the yellow bar in the middle.
I'm looking right at it.
Yeah. Other things, under 2140, that includes the new windows for the Carnegie. It
Super.
includes the cost of the termite protection.
Okay.
It also covers the cost of the new drain for the Miller building.
Okay.
2201, we're looking at an increase of almost 14,000. That's mainly furniture. We're looking at a new Atlas table. We're looking for folding chairs for the library. As of now, like anytime we have the children's programs, we have to go and like get all of these heavy chairs and move
No,
them
that's fine.
outside.
I'm good with that.
Thinking of putting like a rack to hold all the folding chairs and just have a set of like 80 of them there
Okay.
permanently. Looking at CD racks, we have like several of them where the CDs are in like different spots throughout the library. I wanted to buy 2 big ones so they're all in the same area.
Super.
Chairs for the computers for the kids and also tables for those too. 2204 all has to do with upgrading the computer system, so that's a big increase too. 2235, there's a big increase of 12,000. That is to pay off this Wilden Accounting, who's doing our facilities fee management study. It's something that was supposed to be done every year, but it hasn't been done for 5 years.
Wow.
So it's a lot more expensive.
Is
for
this a
them to do it.
one-time thing?
It'll be one time at this cost, but it's supposed to be done annually.
But it would be a lot less than 12,000.
Yeah, it should be like around 3,000.
Okay.
That's something that the county requires, but they
Sure.
use that to assess how much our property tax should be coming in, so it's worth it.
Yep.
Actually, what's required, and it's worth it.
Yep.
2336, there's an increase to cover Catherine's Guadalajara trip.
Super.
4201 in the fixed assets, buildings and improvements. A lot of that increase, most of it is to cover the Miller Building roof. That came out to be $14,993.
Super, and it looks great.
And those are the major things, really.
Okay. And our revenue year on year, it's about the same or a little up.
Let's see.
932, or that's where just what you're rolling over.
Oh, that's okay. I'm having a hard time hearing you. What?
The 932, and that's what you're just projecting going forward. Because
Oh,
you had
right.
932, 636, and you're going to 932, 634. Is that right? I'm looking at this one, which is this last year ending. Am I missing something? I'm looking at the ending June 30th one.
Here we are.
And I'm looking at your fund.
Oh, okay, from last year?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, sorry. I
that's
got
where
the
you're rolling it
difference
into a
there.
budget, right?
Yeah,
And the 102,464 is what you're asking to pull from
Yeah.
cash, correct?
Uh-huh.
yeah,
That's the difference between
Right.
the projected and the actuals.
right. Of the 400,000, we're looking at that number.
And it looked like we had revenues of just
Just slightly under that.
under the 1,066,000 that you're projecting.
It says
Because
we had total revenue of 1,015,000.
we got 45 from grants, right? 25 from operations. Okay,
So we're pretty much right on budget.
that's what I'm saying. That's the only reason I was asking about the ongoing salaries.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be 4 years down the line and go, we're deficit
No, I
spending.
know,
you know?
yeah.
It's nice to have 400,000 in the bank. I don't mind spending it on capital assets. If when we turn this budget next year, we're right near break even, and we still had 300 in the bank,
Yeah.
probably not a bad
Well,
situation.
the way I see it is what we budgeted or what we're spending is right
Well-
in line with what we made,
Yep.
and we have a lot of one-time costs, such
Which are-
as the
which
Miller
are good-
building,
which
yeah,
is good
capital-
stuff.
Yeah, which is good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Which is not ongoing that we're not gonna
Exactly.
hopefully not gonna have next year
Exactly.
unless
Yeah, we shouldn't have a lot of this stuff next year.
yeah.
Yeah. Super. Okay.
Some of it's deferred maintenance, so
Yeah, and that's a good thing. That I like seeing that roof that way.
we don't have to refinance our library.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
That's it. Go ahead. Throw rocks at me. Okay.
I'm just kidding.
I know.
It was a joke.
I know.
Inside joke.
I know.
All right. So,
Yeah, I'm good with that.
do we have a motion for approval of the last item on our agenda?
Well, it's
That was the
it's
second to
11F,
last.
right?
I'm sorry.
Second to last.
Yep.
I'll motion to approve the 2014-15 budget.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Okay. We have an approval in a second, or we have motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye. By the way, Steve, this is great.
Yeah.
Just
really
for me
good.
personally, this is really good because it allows us to see what's going on. I think for our public that's out there somewhere, it allows people to look at it and it allows us to dig into it if we have to.
It's a lot easier to read.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
Okay, I'll tell Gina because she's the one who really
It's
designed
super. I
Yeah.
mean, I can't say it enough. It's
like a- it's like a
detailed
Cliff Note.
and simple all in the
It's a
same
Cliff
one.
Notes version. It's really
Yeah.
nice.
But it also has the, if people want to see it has all the
Yep.
county stuff. So
Yep.
super.
Yeah, I asked her to come up with a one-page summary of everything.
it's perfect.
It's
That's
easy
really
to figure
helpful.
out.
Perfect.
See the snapshot.
Great job.
Okay, good.
Okay. So
The very last one is the proposal to replace the windows and the frames in the Carnegie, which I've kind of already talked about. The actual proposal should be the last thing in your your item. Actually, it's a copy of an email from them with my name and then Susan's on top, but it explains what the project's going to be, with total cost being $7,500. The last time that they worked on the windows was about 15 years ago, and they just kind of slapped some putty on the bottom of them and hoped that it held up, and now you can kind of see that the frames are cracking, so I think it's time for those to be replaced.
Okay. I read something here about color or tinting, or what's the,
Yeah, we haven't talked to them about that much detail. They were proposing green tint. Susan thinks it'd be better if they were just clear white. I don't know if there's a problem with them being clear white or an advantage to the tint, but we can talk to them after.
do you want to talk
once
to
we
the
get this
people who
approved.
really use the library and from the aesthetics perspective? I mean,
Yeah, and these guys, their whole job is just installing historic windows. There may be some good reason for them to be tinted green rather than have them clear.
Okay. Well, certainly we don't want to deal with anything that's on the historic piece, so. I mean, I don't have, if the windows need to be replaced, I have no problem spending it. We certainly have the ability to do that. It would just do it in an appropriate way that we don't have any, that it looks good, matches the historical thing, and we don't have any outrageous complaining for some crazy reason.
Yeah, I don't foresee that. These guys are based in Sacramento, and they seem to have a lot of experience between
Okay.
the two of them.
I will defer to the professional.
All right, so do we have a motion?
I'll move approval.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any announcements?
No, I'll just go back to the one thing I would say, and it's not an announcement so much as I love all the budget things. The roof looks great. Appreciate that, Steve. I will tell you that this kind of report coming from our
Yeah.
people who work for us is tremendous.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah, I
this,
was
because this
impressed.
may have been happening for a long time, this kind of activity, and it may not have been. But we have no form of reference to know if it is or it isn't. But guess what? Now we do. Okay, how did we compare to last year? How did the metrics do and stuff like that? How are you're growing the library? Are we getting more people through it? So that all the activities that you're doing are having a positive impact. Now we have a form to measure it. So I think this is tremendous work. So, and I appreciate it. So.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'll pass that on to Adrian too.
So
since
that's
she
the
did
only announcement I
Children's
have.
report.
Would it be possible for her to come and
Present?
maybe give us a quick synopsis of what she's doing, maybe twice a year, quarterly?
Okay, I asked her if she wanted to come tonight to present her report, and she said no.
She'd want to fight back the crowds.
Well, she lives in Berkeley and commutes, so
Oh wow!
it's quite a haul for her.
I can't make it any more important. This is really good.
Yeah, I was really impressed when she gave it to me too. I didn't expect that level of detail.
It's just, I think it's incredible. I think when we were looking at some of the details of where they're coming from, the age groups that are affected, I mean, it's really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Well, maybe perhaps we can have her come at least once or twice a year just to present to us
Yes.
Maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
and just give us an idea of the budget, the circulation, and everything like that.
What
with
does
the
she
library.
need from us? What can we do to help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we take this kind of thought process and integrate it even more to our schools and get people to get through there?
And or what trends are happening, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think the early
Dream to
reader.
dream.
I think the early reader part of this summer program is new.
Yeah,
'Cause
it
I don't
is.
remember. Yeah, the children's and the teens that's been done in the past, but the early reader is definitely a new program.
Yeah, early literacy is kind of her focus as far as academics go.
Yeah, it'd be nice to hear how the iPads are working and some of the other things that she's doing in her department.
I mean, we would want to begin to if we jump to the school side and we've got, TK and we're investing in smaller classrooms and early literacy, what can we do to partner with the district? I mean, we sit on both boards. How do we take it to the next level? How do we integrate it? How do we take advantage of our strengths?
No, that all makes sense, yeah. I know she's been making lots of school visits and trying to outreach that way, so,
Awesome.
yeah.
I know I mean, it's a backdoor project that the school's doing, but, you know, Mark Monticello, we're really trying to redo. I don't want to call it not a library, but I don't want to call it almost like a new learning area,
Resource
which is a resource center, which is really a combination of technology in the library. So it's a resource center, a learning center, or whatever. So, I mean, I would love to see how we can, you know, bridge that, you know, and leverage both the knowledges. So, anyways, that's great. Thank you. That's all.
Well,
I
you're
got.
welcome.
All right. Meeting adjourned.
You could turn that thing off too on that side.